On my left, do we have any corrections to the minutes? Right? No and that's to either one. And we're good? Okay. Do we need separate motions for these, or can we just pass both of these with a single motion? That's great. So we can do this with a single motion. So can I have a motion?
I have a motion to accept the minutes, both of them.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve both the minutes for the August 24th regular meeting and the September 3rd special meeting.
All right, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Next, we are to item 5B, Water Manager Monthly Activity Report. So over to you, Mr. Steinmetz.
Good evening. For the month of August, we used 77.12 acre feet out of the Edwards Aquifer. Year to date, we've used 116.83. Available acre feet is 510.74. I had to make a correction on that because it had 485.57, which was a mistake, but the 510.74 is the correct amount available. All of our samples came back good for the month. Water loss was 3.4%. Nothing really else to report. I don't know if there's a picture up there. We had a company called Clo Fire Hydrant come and do a presentation for us of some of their fire hydrants and tools. They were also demonstrating a smart hydrant feature, which basically can let you know if there's a loss in pressure in the area for that particular hydrant or part of the water main, which could be beneficial in case there's ever a major break. It would show a fast loss of pressures, and it can alert you on phone or app. So something maybe to also look at in the future. Maybe put key hydrants in strategic areas of the city. So something to consider down the line. That's pretty interesting. That's all I have to report for this month.
Thank you, Stephen. Could you scroll back to the first page, please, on the water loss? One thing I just want to point out for everybody, and Stephen might have, keep it on one more page, I'm sorry, the second page of the water report there. And Stephen might have glossed over this a little bit, folks, but I want you to look at August 21 and look at that 1,236 and that 3.4% loss. So that's both less than absolute, and you can see it's been gone. That's a significant drop from what it's been in the past, and both from the percentage-wise. So great job by the city water department in investigating those things and finding that water loss. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Just a note, the next for this September is going to be a little bit lower.
That's awesome. Going to get it down to zero?
No, not down to zero yet.
Just kidding. I know that's not possible. But 3.4% is significantly low, and that's well below the average for a utility system our size. So
Correct.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions on my right?
Congratulations on getting the water leakage down. That's really impressive. That's great to hear. One question on those hydrants. Would there be a lot of infrastructure for the communication to get back to alarms to let you know pressure, low pressure, and that sort of thing?
It didn't seem to. It seemed like it was basically just an app, really. It also would go to the company that would be monitoring it also. They were showing us other areas that they have serviced for that, and it just showing basically almost like a flat line, and all of a sudden you see a pressure drop, and it'll be a great drop on that, and it'll show who it called.
Oh, so it'd be just like a cell phone type.
Yes.
Okay, it wouldn't be an infrastructure put in to catch antennas and all that kind of stuff.
You probably have to get a carrier of some sort to be able to hook up to it, but essentially he thought maybe since we had a small city, we maybe need about 8 to 10 within the city.
Thank you so much.
On the left?
About how much those hydrants run? I'm trying to figure what kind of investment we'd be talking about, what kind of payout return we would get from it.
Well, they had some sort of adaption kit for the clove hydrant meters that the fire hydrants we had, the older ones, and they were running about $2,000 for the adaption kit, probably about $5,000 for the whole setup. Basically, if you wanted to change out a fire hydrant, you would have to basically cut it down in the ground and repipe it all the way from the top, bottom to the top. But otherwise, you'd have to do some sort of conversion kit for the ones we do have. It'd be in the older part of the city that hasn't been redone yet.
All right, thank you, Mr. Steinmetz. All right, to item 5B2. Items applicable to the Water Commission discussed at the June City Council meeting. First of all, we had a leak adjustment that was approved for 19023 Seminole Pass, and that was for the $1,600.23, I think it was, but it was in accordance with our recommendation that we forwarded to City Council. City Council also approved renewal of the terms for Commissioner Mueller, Vice Chair Harshberger, and Commissioner Dr. Carmichael. I believe Finance also reported that that infrastructure grant that we had applied for did come through, and that the city staff is looking on how that infrastructure grant can best be applied across the city. And that is what I have in my notes. Ms. Kane or Mayor Erickson? No? Okay. Any questions on the left this time? On the right?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right, and there are no leak adjustments today, so we are going to move on to Water Commission activities and projects. So we're going to go through the Water Commission activities and projects as we go through here. And I'll go through each one as we go through, and we'll talk a little bit about the water rates, but for those folks that are in these other subcommittees, first of all, anything to add on for operations planning from Commissioner Halterman or Commissioner Carmichael, anything? Nope. Okay. Ordinances, that's Commissioner Mueller, Commissioner Harshberger. I don't think we have any update on those. That is correct. The staff is reviewing the ordinances right now. Confirm? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, for the education, back to Dr. Carmichael and Ms. Reynolds. We did go through a special session. We had a little bit of some education for the commission there. Anything else to add, sir?
No, not this time. I think that, I found that very educational, very interesting. And,
Absolutely.
The next presentation, would be nice to get one on the computer security of the system. That came up quite a bit, and that was an interesting discussion.
Got it. Commissioner Harshberger, do you want to take that on? Everybody was looking at you during that.
Actually, I wasn't.
You weren't looking at me, right? You were looking through me.
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking to take on as far as looking at the, if I understood the comment, you're looking for another meeting or session with the staff to go over it. So I think that it's been a while since the previous water manager talked about it, but they apparently had looked at an audit for that, and I don't really want to go into it here, but is that the stuff we're talking about?
Yes, that's a good point. Were we bringing a third party to look at computer security stuff?
We were at one time.
We were talking about is the AWWA audit that we had to do of our entire system, and it had to do with the security aspect of our entire system. Is that report complete yet, Stephen?
They're still working on it. We got as far as submitting something on the due date. They're still working on an action plan that has to be submitted by December, end of December for that. But they're going over all the security system. They asked all sorts of questions on how, who monitors it, who has access to it, is there different connections to it. So they're doing I guess they're scaling it against an algorithm of some sort to find out its weaknesses and its strengths.
When that report is complete, we will be glad to bring that to the commission. Maybe several months if it's not totally complete until December. It may be, the earliest would probably be the first part of next year, if the commission is good with that.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to get complete before we would want to review it, unless there's interim findings or anything like that that we might find interesting. But absolutely, I think that'd be something we want to hear, and probably something to do in a special session or an executive session, I mean.
Possibly, yes, since
Yeah.
we'll be talking about security.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Thank you for education. Move on to water rates, and that's Commissioner Harshberger and Commissioner Stone. And I don't know if you want me to talk about this or if you would like to talk about it, sir.
Well, I'll start. You can fill in the extra stuff that you've told, and then Councilmember Valdez may have some extra stuff for us as well. But at any rate, we're working on the process, and it's been decided that city staff is going to pick up the responsibility for at least doing the initial run through the water rates, and then, based upon they've got access to all the data to start with, and then, hopefully it'll still get presented or available to the subcommittee to just kind of take a look at and then come to the Water Commission. And I have been told that that process is undergoing. I'm not exactly sure how quickly it'll be completed, but it is in process. But the bottom line for us is that we have, the subcommittee has been kind of pulled back out of the initial run-through, setting it up process, and the commission will be more in an overview mode. I do think there's room for discussion about, follow-on years of how that back and forth needs to go, but I very much support the idea of the staff doing it. They've got the data. It's just easier on everybody if they work through the process first. So that's where we're at, and then if you have anything you want to add, by all means.
Commissioner Stone, anything? Okay. No, we talked about this before. Councilmember Valdez actually has a lot of information on this, so it's very useful to have him bringing the staff online a little bit quicker than we might have thought, and I think that's a good way to go. But we do need that. I would still like the water rate subcommittee to work on the procedures a little bit, and when I say procedures, what information do we validate? What are the checks and balances in the system? What kind of things should we be asking questions about, and how it all gets reviewed before it goes to City Council? I think that's some work that hopefully the subcommittee can do with City staff to work out those procedures here. And we can try it out this time and see where we end up and what kind of tweaks we want to make, if that's good. Good? Okay. Ms. Kane, is that good? Okay. Thank you. Also, for strategic planning, I don't think we have anything necessarily in here for update for this, but I think there is something we were going to talk about, did you want to bring up bringing water or developments and purchasing of water rights or anything like that? Did we talk about that recently, or I can't remember, Ms. Kane?
Trying to figure out if I've got a mic on or not. It's not wanting to stay in the holder here. Okay. The city's subdivision ordinance, Ordinance 7, does require developers to transfer or to acquire and transfer water rights to the city that will support their development that they're bringing in to make sure we have an ample supply of water. Most likely in October, you will be hearing the first one. Once they have an approved master plan, then at that point in time is when it comes to the Water Commission. We haven't done one in quite a while, but they're responsible for presenting to us how much water is going to be needed to support that subdivision. That includes the interior use as well as the exterior use in their landscape watering. The first one, of course, will be the Pension Mark project, and then after that, within probably the next 6 months, you will probably be seeing at least 2 more of those coming forward to the commission.
And since it's been a while, do we have a good defined process on how all of this should go and what key items we're looking for?
When I get their input of what they feel that they need to, how much water is needed to support their project, then I will forward that on to the engineers, the city engineer, for them to review. And until they're comfortable with that information, it will not be brought forward to the commission. I will have Michelle forward each commissioner the section of Ordinance 7 that does pertain to the water rights, so that y'all can read up on that prior to the October meeting. Is that helpful?
Yes, ma'am, that's very helpful. I think there's something in Ordinance 54 about that also in the back there that talks about that. Might be for residential, though, I'm not sure. No?
I don't
Am I
recall
mistaken?
that. I don't recall that. I'm sorry. Off the top of my head, I just don't recall
I
that.
remember reading it somewhere. I don't know
Okay.
if I read Ordinance 7, maybe I did.
There is a statement in 54, but I don't think it talks about the process as much as just that they have to bring the water rights.
And that's Edwards water rights.
Yes,
At
those are
this
the
time.
only transferable water rights. So they will have to be Edwards water rights. They have to be on this side of the Cibolo Creek, and they cannot be leased water. They have to be purchased so that they can be transferred to the city. And the transfer of those water rights is an actual real estate transaction.
Any questions about that? On the right? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I didn't mean
You're
to ambush
welcome.
you on that one.
No,
but-
that's fine.
Okay.
Not a problem.
All right, are there any other questions on Water Commission activities and projects? Okay, we're going to move on to, what item are we on here? 5C3, ordinance number 210. First item up on ordinance 210 issues is we want to receive recommendations and consideration of appointment of the Water Commission Chair and Vice Chair for a one-year term effective October 2021. All right, so this is a good time, if anybody's interested in serving for chair or vice chair, this is the time to speak up and go ahead and volunteer. I'm not feeling particularly oppressed yet, since I've only been in the seat for a few months. So I am willing to continue serving as chair unless there's someone else that is very interested in it. So for chair first, all volunteers step forward, I guess.
I, for one, would like to say you're doing a magnificent job, and I support your continuance.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the nomination for chair. Oh, it wasn't? Oh, did I just miss that? Oh, okay. Well, we need a motion then.
I'll make the motion.
All right, a motion for a recommendation for Commissioner Mueller to continue serving as chair, this term starting October 2021.
Exactly, yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Excellent. Let's move on to vice chair.
So, just to let everybody know, this is with the reappointment to the commission. This is my 4th term, which unless 210 gets changed, means it's my last term. And I don't, in the time that would be remaining, it's pretty unlikely that I would end up in the chair position. So I'm willing to continue as vice chair, but I do want to put it out there for other commissioners who think that at some point you might want to be the chair of the commission. If you'd want to, volunteer to do vice chair, you won't hurt my feelings. So if that's the case, please say so. But I would be willing to continue if the commission so desires.
Once again, is there anyone interested in serving as vice chair? Okay. That would be a nice trick, yes. So Commissioner Harshberger has said he's willing to serve another term as the vice chair. So is there a motion?
I make a motion to recommend council that Commissioner Harshberger remains vice chair for the next year.
And we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you. And that is item, yes, ma'am.
Just want to make a point of clarification. That is not a recommendation to city council. That's just something that is decided amongst the commission, and so you will not take that to city council for their action. That is just something the commission decides on.
Okay. So it is done and done. No recommendations, that we just decided. Okay, thank you. All right, the next one we have is any recommendations related to the application of Ordinance 210 provisions to commission members if needed. I don't see any that are needed. If you looked at the back of your packet there, or actually we have an addendum page that's, or an errata page right here, it shows committee attendance, but we've talked about this before a couple of commission meetings ago about COVID-related attendance at meetings. So everyone is good to go for this year. However, I would still certainly encourage everyone's attendance at city council meetings and everybody's, I should also mention everybody's good for commission meetings also, but encourage y'all to attend city council meetings to see what's going on. You get a lot more information and you get to see, get to hear a lot about what's going on in the city, and it's good to attend those when you can. All right, is there anything I'm missing? Any other discussion items concerning Ordinance 210 that we should address? Starting on the left? On the right? Great. That brings us to 5D. If I have that right. Yes, 5D, which is future agenda items. Do we have any input on commissioner input on any agenda items? Starting on the right this time, sir.
I think it'll come about in the course anyway, but I just want to keep a spot on there for water rates for whenever the staff is ready. Make sure it's on the agenda so we can discuss it.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes about when water rates should get presented to City Council, and we expect those to go to City Council in early November. Is that still good? Is that your plan? Okay. Great. So we should probably expect to see something next month, hopefully, on that. And if possible, ma'am, it'd be great to get those out a little bit early. If we can get those sent out to some of the water rate stuff sent out to the subcommittee as early as possible so they could sort of take a look at it and because here in the, I'd like to see it a little bit before the meeting so we're not trying to stress out while we're trying to read it all during the meeting. Is that fair? Thank you. Does that meet your intent, sir?
Does, just, and don't want to presume how it will turn out, but historically, we've ended up taking 2 months, the initial review, and then come back and make the recommendation the second month. So that's always a possibility, but as long as we get it to council by December, they should be able to act on it before it needs to go into effect.
Got it. Thank you.
Is in the budget process, is there any, I'm sure there is, but how do we account for projects within the water department? Needed items, new water towers, new pumps, hardening the systems, so forth?
So in the past, typically the staff has identified those needs and they just put them in the budget. We have input on that through the subcommittee process and what comes up before the commission, but it's not right now part of the formal budget process. I think that was one of the things the strategic subcommittee was trying to look at, how we can better tie into those. But typically it's indirect and the staff does the recommendations for the budget.
And those major infrastructure projects are covered in the Water Master Plan, which was done a few years ago and is probably getting close to needing an update.
The city engineers are in the process of updating that water master plan. The items that are typically contained in that water master plan are items that the annual budget would not support. We would have to go out and secure debt for payment of those projects, the large infrastructure projects.
And this year, the water budget will include the sewer system, I'm assuming? Maybe that's the wrong assumption.
We're asking a whole bunch of questions about this. Well, how about we add this as an agenda item for next time and we can go into a little bit more. Is that fair?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
perfect.
Commissioner Altman, any future agenda items?
Well, the last comment kind of just got me thinking, and maybe not understanding the full processes of this, but for future agenda items, we talked about the additional water leases possibly coming in. Does that have to be put on the agenda, or do we need to even have kind of some discussion about the process in the meeting on once we get it sounds like we were going to talk about that Ordinance 7, I believe. Is that where we came from? Is that something we would want to discuss beforehand, or do we need to have the people that present the additional new water leases? I don't know if I'm saying everything correctly, but we need that as an agenda item?
We can add that as an agenda item to talk about the water rights process and what's in Ordinance 7. And we'll look around to see if there's anything else in any of the other ordinances that are out there. All right. You guys are bringing up a lot of stuff this month. On the left. Good, sir. Okay. Okay. I think that's all our input on agenda items, so 5D number 2. The next meeting of the Water Commission will be on October 26th, 2021 at 6 p.m. right here at City Hall. All right, item 6, citizen comment period, no citizens present. So we are moving on to item 7, adjournment. This concludes all the items on the agenda, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The meeting is adjourned at 6:31 p.m.